Hello and welcome to the National School of Journalism's panel discussion on the right to information versus the right to privacy. It's been over a month since the Tamil Nadu Chief Minister Jayalalithaa took ill. Media reports and public interest has led to a lot of speculative remarks. What does the law have to say about this? We will be discussing this and more, but first let's take a look at how Kollywood's sweetheart became Tamil Nadu's leading lady in the political arena. Let's get started, but before that, I would like to introduce our eminent panel, Mr. B.V. Acharya, who is the former Advocate General and also Special Public Prosecutor in the disproportionate assets case against Jayalalithaa. We have with us Mr. Dinesh Gundu, who is President of the Karnataka Pradesh Committee of Congress and also the MLA of Gandhinagar for 4 consecutive times. And finally, we have with us Karan who is an eminent lawyer in the Karnataka High Court. So let's get started. So, do you think that the citizens of Tamil Nadu really need to know about her health, or for once, does she have the right to privacy?
I think privacy is something which is left to each individual. Each individual has got his own definition of privacy, what the individual wants to let out in the public domain. I think some people are more comfortable with a lot of information about their personal lives and information regarding what they are doing. They don't mind it coming out. But there are many also who are very close personalities who do not want information to come out. So that's on one side. The second thing is it obligatory for a person who is in public life to reveal information which is not really required in the public interest? So those are the two aspects. And regarding, the Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu, on what grounds she is being admitted to the hospital, what exactly is happening, I think information should be given out to the public, because people would want to know exactly what is the exact reasons why she is inside the hospital. But I do not think that all the details need to be out.
Right.
But I think some broad issues and broad parameters of how she's doing, how is her health, and is she okay, that should be very, very clearly sent out. So I think to that extent, since she holds an executive position, some amount of information needs to be given out.
Right.
Yeah.
So there's always been a secrecy when it comes to the health of our ministers, especially in India. It's happened with Manmohan Singh, and it's also happened with Mr. Vajpayee, and now with Jayalalithaa. Do you think there needs to be a law that's made that, the public gets to know about their health records? Not the specific details, but at least, a statement that states if they are eligible to exercise their duties as a minister.
See, right to privacy has been recognized as a fundamental right, though it is not specifically stated so in the Constitution. The Supreme Court of India has interpreted Article 21, the right to life includes right to privacy. Now this right to privacy, they have said, depends on the particular individual case, whether the right to privacy is to be protected or in the interest of general public or in public interest, the details of a person should be disclosed to the public. It depends on the facts of each case. But one fundamental difference made out is between an ordinary individual and a person holding high office. Public servants, when they are in public gaze, their right to have privacy is curtailed to a large extent depending upon the nature of duties you perform. Now please take this very case of the Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu or any Chief Minister. Now the Chief Minister holds a very important executive position. Though under the Constitution the Governor is the executive head, every decision is in fact taken by the Council of Ministers headed by the Chief Minister. And in certain areas, it is the decision only of the Chief Minister. Now, other day, when she was in the hospital, the Governor issues a notification stating that all the 8 portfolios handled by the Chief Minister is to be handled by another minister, Shri Pannirselvam or so. Now, this notification is issued by the Governor on the aid and advice of the Chief Minister alone. It could be done. Now, the public have a right to know, is the Chief Minister in a position physically and mentally to take a decision, and on the basis of which the Governor was able to issue the notification. In fact, the whole functioning of the government in Tamil Nadu for the last 1 month is suspect, because when the medical bulletin very vaguely says that she requires respiratory support, that is to say that she is in ventilator, and even the acting governor who has visited her doesn't say that he has been able to talk to her or she has talked to him. If that is so, what is the advice which the Chief Minister has given? Is it an advice given by the Chief Minister herself or some other person? Now, you may assume that if the Chief Minister is all right, it is on the advice of the Chief Minister, a particular decision has been taken. But the public have a right to know, and even the Governor has a right to know whether the Chief Minister is physically and mentally capable of taking a decision. To that extent, her right of privacy is curtailed. The public have a right to know about her health condition, not with regard to other details. Is she able to take a decision that the particular portfolios will have to be handled by a particular person? How the notifications have been issued? Even the other ministers.
One interference there.
Yes.
Sir, now the ministry is it's a council of ministers.
Yeah.
And the chief minister is first among the equals. Apart from that, he is also a minister. Chief minister also is a minister.
True.
So if the political party or if the council of ministers have come to a decision that Pannirselvam will be in charge for the interim period, holding all the portfolios, and there is no disturbance in that decision, or there is no issue of conflict in that decision. If 4 or 5 other ministers come out and say, no, we do not accept this decision, or if the political party says that this decision is not acceptable to us, then there is definitely a conflict. But within the group of ministers, if they say, till she is inside or till she recovers completely, we have Pannirselvam will be the minister, and if they have some sort of an indication from Jayalalithaa, or even if she is not given an indication also, if they have taken the decision on their own also, I think ultimately it's a council of ministers, and the chief minister is just first among the equal, and so that can be a collective decision as long as there is no conflict and the administration can run smoothly, even with the chief minister being in the hospital, being hospitalized. So I think looking at that angle, in our democracy, I think we need to find solutions which are not purely, comes within the legal framework. We need to have, I think, decisions which come out based on the circumstances.
No, I partly agree with what Sri Gundu says. The position would have been entirely different if the Council of Ministers had taken a decision or the ailment is of one of the ministers. But the Chief Minister's position is entirely different. Now, there cannot be a government without a Chief Minister effectively functioning even for 5 minutes. That is why, so far as the Chief Minister or Prime Minister is concerned, moment there is a vacancy, it is filled up within matter of minutes. Now, in this particular case, if the party has elected anyone as the acting chief minister or chief minister temporarily, as Mr. Pannirselvam was there during the previous occasion, position would have been different. But today the governor issues a notification saying that the 8 portfolios which were with the chief minister are allotted to Mr. Pannirselvam, who has given that advice. It could have been given only by the chief minister.
Yes.
Was the chief minister in a position to give that advice? That is the point. Therefore, I fully agree. For a constitutional setup, what is necessary is, whether it is interim or permanent, the legislature party ought to elect someone as a chief minister who is in a position to take a decision, who has physical and mental capacity to take a decision. Whether that capacity is there or not, citizens are entitled to know.
So just hold that thought, Mr. Karan.
Right. So the freedom of information or the right to information, like Mr. Acharya rightly said, is something that is derived from Article 21 of the Constitution. The concept of the freedom of information is not something that's come in now with the Right to Information Act. In fact, one of the first cases was in 1974, which was Raj Narayan's case, where Justice Matthew in his concurring judgment said, look, the idea behind freedom of information is the right to be aware. However, the right to be aware is to do with acts that are in the public domain, acts that have something to do with accountability and in order to bring in transparency. The idea behind a right to information or a freedom of information is to prevent oppression or corruption, or in some manner address oppression or corruption in public life. So the question here is, by seeking information on the Chief Minister's health, what are you achieving towards preventing oppression or corruption? Where do you draw the line between what is truly personal and what isn't? For example, you spoke about Dr. Manmohan saying when he was in the hospital. When he was in the hospital, there were medical bulletins issued, right? And that is the case here. Now, whether those medical bulletins are true or not is something that is really not known to us. But what is the overwhelming public interest in knowing what is wrong with her? From what I understand, she has, either by herself or on the aid of her Council of Ministers, delegated work to other people. So the government is still functioning. There is no breakdown in a constitutional machinery. The government hasn't come to a standstill. So where exactly does public interest come into the picture? If, for example, there was a complete failure of the government in the state of Tamil Nadu, I would agree that the public did have the right to know exactly what was wrong with her. But seeing as how things are functioning, where is the public interest in seeking her medical records?
Also has been a lot of unrest, especially with over 40 people being arrested in the state because of spreading rumors and speculations. So don't you think that there wouldn't be any room for these speculations and these arrests if they had just given out the information in the first place?
By that you're assuming all is well.
No, I'm saying that because 40 people have been arrested, they could have avoided this if they had just given out the information about her in the first place.
But you're talking about 40 people out of a state like Tamil Nadu, which has, I would imagine, millions. So I don't think that is a sample size that one must look at. Yeah. What is the correlation between what 40 people in a state as big as Tamil Nadu want to know with her private information? See, there's no disputing that her medical records are very private to her, right? And the only question is, are people entitled to it because she is a public authority?
Mr. B. Acharya?
One point that I would like to make out is, if there is medical report which shows and which the doctors are bound to disclose to the public that she is physically and mentally, whatever with other ailment, we are not bothered, capable of taking a decision and giving out the decision on the basis of which the notifications are issued. In particular, the decision to have all her portfolios to be managed by X. Is the decision taken by her consciously? Was she capable of taking that decision, mentally and physically? If at least the governor has a meeting with her and he says, I am satisfied, it is her decision, I can understand. But to our knowledge, nobody has access to her. Everybody talks to the doctors and they say what has happened. If there is at least one person who has seen her, responsible person, and he says now since 2 days they say she is able to have some gestures. That means earlier even that was not there. Now gesture means whether you want water, she says yes, it's all right. But is she in a position to say that this particular decision which the Chief Minister alone has to take has been taken by her? If there is someone else with her who gives the advice, not herself, then the matter will be very serious. It will be some some person other than the constitutional functionary who is giving advice on her behalf. That should not happen. That the citizens are entitled to know.
Right.
Whether the
Hold that thought, sir. So when you spoke about the citizens, we actually have our team from National School of Journalism who went out and took a video and compiled a report about what the citizens of Bangalore think, and they also include journalists as well. Let's just take a look.
Health is a personal asset, and that has nothing to do with the politics. So interfering in someone's personal life is definitely not a good thing.
Even the channels are updating for us news, but exactly what is going inside the hospital, we are not able to know. So if we get the correct information about the Jayalalithaa, we will be very happy.
ನಾವು ಯಾರನ್ನಾದರೂ ವೋಟ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟು ನಾವು ಗೆಲ್ಲಿಸಿದಾಗ ಆ ವ್ಯಕ್ತಿಯ ಆರೋಗ್ಯದಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಾದರೂ ತೊಂದರೆ ಆಗಿ ಅವರನ್ನು ಆಸ್ಪತ್ರೆಗೆ ಸೇರಿಸಿದಾಗ ಅವರ ಆರೋಗ್ಯದ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ತಿಳ್ಕೊಳ್ಳುವಂಥ ಹಕ್ಕು ನಮಗೆ ಪೂರ್ತಿ ಇರುತ್ತೆ.
एक एक जगह में एक एक हिसाब से रहता है, इसलिए ये लोग छुपाता है, गवर्नमेंट छुपाता है, वो उन लोग का सेफ्टी है.
ये उनका पर्सनल मैटर है और इसे पब्लिक में आउट नहीं करना चाहिए.
Certain intriguing, certain sensitive issues, be it Jayalalitha's health or the surgical strikes. One, you also have to respect the sentiment of the political cadre to release or not release a particular information. Yes, sometimes it could go against the whole, fundamental principle of being the fourth estate here. But you must also understand that there are certain reasons behind it. For example, in the case of the surgical strike, if they had actually given a lot of information, that could actually hamper, the progress of the state in terms of the defense capabilities that the country can handle. Be it even in terms of Jayalalitha's, there are pros and cons, yes. One, if they had actually given some amount of information that could be authentic with respect to the media, it could have curtailed the rumor mongering there. But two, in terms of the secrecy, it is one's prerogative to actually give out information in terms of one's health. I mean, who would want people to actually nip in and peer into the activities that is taking place in terms of one's own health issues? Who would really want to make it public? So these are two different arguments that needs to be raised, but then at the end of the day, it is the media always that is being pointed at, and that is what is happening here as well. But as a journalist, we are also trying our best to garner information from respective sources, and also trying to see if that is actually valid information that we can put out or not. There are several questions that also play in a journalist's mind before information is actually released. Other than that, we can't really help it except to ensure that authentic information is given and not let the rumor mongering take center stage.
That's an ideal situation, that there should be more transparency, and people in a democracy should be told how is the health condition of their leader. But the problem is, in India there is no legal system. Our laws do not demand that elected democratic leaders have to disclose their health conditions. There are countries where leaders have to go and have health checks done, annual health checkup done in specified government hospitals, and those reports are made available to the public. But that's not the case in India. Of course, it's an ideal situation that those health records are made public, but here it is also an individual's right to privacy. So Jayalalithaa has her right to privacy. We also, there is also our right to know. But I think in the absence of law, her right to privacy is much more prevalent, is much more powerful than our right to know. Of course, the only way we could demand for more information is if she was using government or public money for her treatment. In this case, we are not even sure of that. See, that's one ground on which people can ask for health records if public money is being used for her treatment.
Right. So as we watched, people have very different views on the issue. And like we know, there have been many speculations that have been made with pictures circulating social media platforms and even recordings of people saying that she may or may not be alive. In this sort of situation where there's so much of limited access to this information, how do we differentiate between the facts and the fiction? Mr. Dinesh.
See, here I think the question of how much Jayalalithaa wants to reveal or not reveal, or what is the right to information and right to privacy. More than that, I think the issue here is also highly political. Let's look at it from that angle. Because AIDMK is a party which has got a cadre. It's a party which revolves around Jayalalithaa. It's a very sensitive issue. And also the political impact. Now, if we assume that Jayalalithaa is really very sick, she's incapacitated, and she's not able to function anymore, let's assume that as what has actually happened. If that is the case, then the political party has to really look at it and see what next, because the minute you announce that she is totally incapacitated or she is no more able to function, then there's a huge political crisis on hand. Who next? What's going to happen? There's going to be a huge outpouring. So there's also other issues in this. One is the right to privacy and one is the right to information, but also the political, and I think each political party and the political leaders have also the right to see how we can stabilize the situation. I'm assuming that she is in a critical situation. So how do we handle this in a more smooth manner? Or if she's recovering, let's wait for her recovery, and then let's not allow things to go out of hand, because she's like to her followers, she's like a goddess. There's huge amount of devotion towards her. They call her the mother and everything. And tomorrow it can lead to all kinds of political turmoil in the state. In fact, what you were just saying, that there should be law and order and things have to be maintained. Suddenly, if a power vacuum is created, in fact, good governance and law and order, everything can go for a toss. So, so there are a lot of other reasons why maybe if they are keeping it a secret, are keeping it a secret because of those intentions. But suppose if she's really in a situation where she's improving, I think they have every right to say she's improving, let's hold on. Let's not create another, huge, because Tamil Nadu as of now, apart from rumor mongering, apart from all these issues, the government is functioning, ministers are working, there's an administrative setup over there, and things are running. Even on the Kaveri issue, the Chief Secretary went and spoke on behalf of Jayalalithaa, saying that she is, whether it's true or false, now we have to assume that he's speaking the truth. No, I cannot say Chief Secretary is lying. I cannot say the Raj Bhavan, the governor is lying. I cannot say the hospital authorities, when they say those things, are keeping things under wraps. So we have to assume that they're speaking the truth.
If any one of them have said that if the governor says, I had a talk with her, and she told me like this, 100%, I don't dispute that. But here, according to the information that we have, not a single person says, I had a talk with her and she gave these instructions or information to me. So just like a will executed by a patient in the hospital, the first and the foremost thing that the court requires the propounder of the will to prove is that the patient was in a sound and disposing state of mind when he executed the will. And according to the Supreme Court, mere signature is not enough. As Justice Hegde has pointed out, whether his mind has travelled with the pen, that consciously you have taken a decision and signed the document. If there is anyone saying that she is in a health bulletin, whether they are giving antibiotics or whether physiotherapy is given, all these things are stated. Public may not be interested in that, but public are interested in knowing, is she capable of taking a decision independently, or the decision which is conveyed outside her ward is taken by someone else. If that is so, it will be extra constitutional. It will be bad.
No, I do not think it's extra constitutional, because when the cabinet sits, even if the chief minister is the chief minister. But if the entire cabinet says that we do not agree with the chief minister, then that's the decision of the cabinet. So the cabinet runs by a majority, and tomorrow, whether Jayalalithaa is there or not there, and crucial decisions are being taken in the cabinet, and when he is holding if someone is in charge of all our portfolios, so the decision of the cabinet is taken by the majority, and if the majority views to do something for the state, or a particular project or a particular work or a particular program, I think that is not illegal nor unconstitutional.
Any decision taken by the cabinet with Pannir Selvam acting, no problem about it. But
her photo is kept in the cabinet.
Certain decisions,
her presence is there.
Certain decisions are to be taken only by the chief minister.
The only reason I'm differing, I'm just making this a little bit more animated. The only reason I'm differing is there's a difference between the way the American system functions, where they have the president, where he's an executive authority by himself.
Right.
Or the governor in the US state is an executive authority by himself. Whereas here, the chief minister is nothing but first among the equals. That's all.
True.
So that's the parliamentary system which we work under, like the British system. So even if the chief minister is indisposed or is not able to attend for a short while, okay, if this carries on for the next few months, 4-5 months, then definitely yes, something needs to be done. But I think right now, at this stage, in the interest of the state, interest of the administration, interest of everything, I think they've done a sensible thing in going about whatever they're doing.
So, Mr. Acharya, you said that, she's giving these, like what she has to say, another person, a representative is coming and saying it. So, how do we know if Ms. Jayalalithaa is giving the power to someone to say it? And if so, if she is able to do so, why isn't she doing it herself? Where is the transparency in all of this?
That exactly is the point we want to know. The public have a right to know whether she is, at least the doctors should say, apart from the treatment and other things with which we are not concerned, is she in a position to take independent decision as a chief minister of the state? If she is not capable of taking that decision, and if there is no other person elected as a chief minister, even the existence of the cabinet will not be valid. Cabinet can be there with the chief minister who is able to function.
So the whole point that we're making so many assumptions proves that there is no transparency, right? That is the reason why we are making so many assumptions.
Now, there are two questions here. There are two distinct questions. The first thing is, in the event that this allotment of work to other ministers was done without proper approval, that is a question that needs to be challenged in a court of law, saying that there is a failure in the constitutional machinery and things are not going right. For example, when a governor dismisses or dissolves a house of legislature, the question then arises, did he or she act on the aid and advice of the Council of Ministers? So that is a constitutional question which has to be tested by the judiciary on whether it quite simply enables the constitutional machinery of the state to continue. Here, however, there's a privacy angle as well. So here, by filing an RTI application and seeking information on the Chief Minister's health, citing alleged public interest will not do. To my mind, one would, like Mr. Acharya says, approach the court, would have to approach the court and say, look, we don't know if these decisions are being taken in a proper manner. Therefore, please let the state respond with whether she's in the right frame of mind to do so. And of course, now whether those medical reports can be provided to court in a sealed cover. And if the court was satisfied that everything is okay and everything is kosher, then the court could in fact not make those records public. Yeah. So there is another example of how the court can, in this case, if someone were to allege that these decisions were not taken properly, protect the interests of the public and of the Chief Minister.
I would only add that I agree, court can do it, but even the governor has to take the public into confidence in this matter. If he has really acted, he is the one person who claims that he has gone to the hospital and has been to the hospital, not that he has seen her. If he says, I have seen her, she has given me this instruction, well and good, we can accept it. But if that is not there, if nobody is prepared to tell about her mental condition to take a decision, then the matter will be serious.
So, sir, with so much of limited information and us not being able to, get out the right information at the right time, how do you think the media has covered this whole issue?
Whatever I've seen, I think they've been fairly understanding about what is the ground realities of Tamil Nadu. I think they know what Tamil Nadu is all about, highly sensitive, emotional people. And though everybody is, normally media tends to be very invasive, but I think in Tamil Nadu, the media is also slightly afraid of what the ADMK is capable of doing compared to other, not like
Is
Karnataka.
it only the state of Tamil Nadu, or is
Yeah, I'm only in the state of Tamil Nadu, not Karnataka.
Okay.
Not Karnataka.
Okay.
So I think they understand that. So, they, like you said, there have been so many cases booked against so many people in the recent past regarding rumor mongering. And even before that also, anyone who made any sort of allegation against Jayalalithaa were being booked under defamation cases by the government itself. They had a special law, so which we are also thinking of adopting. So we are thinking on those lines. I'm just joking. And so there is Tamil Nadu politics is different. So ideally speaking, I think you can say, ideally speaking, the right information should be out. I accept. But the structure is so much, the sensitivity is so huge. I will not blame the ADMK party for not revealing this information, because then there could be utter chaos. And as long as nobody else in the party is complaining about Mr. Paneerselvam holding all the portfolios and running the administration smoothly, let's hold on for some more time. And if there are another few months goes like this, say another 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, and still nothing is coming out, I think then the question will come that for how long? I think there is a time frame also which we should allow in this matter, practically speaking. And then I think those serious questions about her, is she totally incapacitated? Is she like really like a vegetable or not? Or her mental functioning is there or not? Is she brain dead or not? So all those things will have to come out in the public domain. But I think we need to, at this juncture, I think we need to give them a little bit more time.
Right. But sir, this brings us back to the function of the state right now. What are the possible outcomes of this lack of information?
Well, to my mind, like I said, everything in Tamil Nadu seems to be hunky-dory, and that's what Mr. Gundu said as well, citing the very recent Kaveri example. So except for people wanting to know what's actually happening with her health, it doesn't look like the administration has come to a standstill. Now, of course, all of this proceeds on the fact that the right to privacy, just to go back a little, the right to privacy is in fact inherent in Article 21 and therefore Article 19. But however, now the Supreme Court is actually reconsidering that entire question, whether the right to privacy is actually a fundamental right. In the Aadhaar matter which is pending before them, they've constituted a special bench to actually look at whether the right to privacy is a fundamental right. Unfortunately, the union government has taken the stance that it is not. The right to privacy is not a fundamental right. So we'll have to wait and see. Maybe this 5-judge bench will finally bring quietus to the entire issue of whether the right to privacy is in fact a fundamental right.
In fact, there is one judgment of the Bombay High Court where the information was sought was in respect of a politician who had convicted for contempt of court and sentenced to imprisonment for 1 month. And of the 1 month, 25 days he spent in the hospital in an air-conditioned room. And the public sought for information from the hospital authorities. He objected and said, you can't give that information. It is right of my privacy. But then the Bombay High Court said, in the light of the facts and circumstances of the case, even a citizen has to know whether he has really suffered any ailment requiring treatment in a hospital, and therefore he must be furnished with that information, even an ordinary citizen. But of course they remanded the matter because there is a mandatory provision that the person concerned should be heard in the matter. Here he was not given an opportunity. So in effect, as the Supreme Court itself has said, you have to consider it in case-to-case basis and the facts of each case. And according to me, the position of a chief minister, if it is only a minister, things would have been different. The position of a chief minister is entirely different, and therefore the minimum, the requirement of the hospital authorities as well as the governor and the party is to inform the public about the capacity to take a decision.
Right. So just hold that thought, sir. So let's take a look at the media package that our team has put together and see how the media or the fourth estate had covered this issue.
And Tamil Nadu Chief Minister Jayalalithaa has been hospitalized in Chennai after she complained of fever and dehydration last night.
A press release from Apollo Hospital stated this Ms. Jayalalithaa was stable and under observation.
Constant stream of VVIPs are visiting the Apollo Hospital in Chennai. Security has been beefed up around it. Tamil Nadu Chief Minister is under constant monitoring. And as per the latest health bulletin, she is on respiratory support.
The Honourable Chief Minister is responding well to the treatment and continues to get better.
Well, this is the news that is coming in that 2 people have been arrested for spreading rumours about Jaya on 13th of October.
The latest is a FIR against well-known social activist Traffic Ramaswamy.
She has been in hospital now for almost 3 weeks, but there is still no clear picture about what is her exact status.
Why have details of her illness not been made available to the public? In a democracy, don't we have the right to know?
To read out this exception from the RTI, and I quote, "There are 2 exceptions to this rule. First, that the right to privacy does not survive once the publication is a matter of public record. And second, when the publication relates to the discharge of the official duties of a public servant. An action is not maintainable unless the publication is proved to be false, malicious, or is in reckless disregard for truth." So now how do we prove that this information is in fact true or not? The information that has been given out by the authorities.
By the authorities.
Yeah.
Somebody has to question it. Somebody should go somewhere and question, is this true?
My grievance is relevant information is not given. Information given may be true, that she is recovering and she is being given particular treatment may be true. But the relevant information about her capacity to function as Chief Minister is not given by anybody.
Let's try and look at the entire question of whether people are entitled to her health records in terms of knowing how well she's doing based on the framework of the RTI Act. Now, the Right to Information Act has a number of exemptions pursuant to which no information can actually be disclosed. For example, Section 8(1)J, which is of relevance here, says that no personal information can be disclosed unless there is an overwhelming public interest. Let us assume now that there is no public interest. What's interesting to Section 8(1)J is the proviso, which says that nothing can be denied to the public if that information could in fact be given in the house, in the parliament or in the legislature. So I'd actually like to ask Mr. Gundu Rao, in this particular situation, I'm taking over your job just for a little bit. Just wanted to check, under 8(1)J, is the Tamil Nadu legislature, are they entitled to know what her health is? And how serious it is or how okay she is?
See, if tomorrow the Tamil Nadu Assembly is convened, so that's when the whole question starts. Definitely, I think there is a need for the legislators to know, because we need to have the leader of the house present there. And if the leader of the house is not present there, sitting in his chair, who's the leader of the house? So why is the leader of the house not here? So I think when the assembly is convened, then that question will definitely arise. But I would say that that will be conveniently bypassed by not convening the assembly itself.
So do you think that, you said like someone should question the government. So do you think nobody is questioning the government because there is so much of political pressure, and that it's so difficult for people to even, say anything because they're so scared that of the outcomes after they question the...
There is Durga Puja.
So let's look at it this way. If because of the political pressure, is our job as the media or as a lawyer or as a politician being suppressed in any form because of the political pressure, Mr. Acharya? Because of the political pressure that is happening in the government, do you think that the jobs of us like lawyers and the media and politicians is being suppressed or not being able to be exercised freely by us because of the political pressure?
I think you should answer that question. How the press is behaving in Tamil Nadu. In fact, both the press as well as the citizens of Tamil Nadu behave in a particular manner, unlike any other state. Otherwise, it is a very peculiar situation in Tamil Nadu where the chief minister is in the hospital and the leader of the opposition is in the wheelchair.
So, but you...
And they have no choice in the matter.
But you have gone through the political pressure when you were the special public prosecutor in the disproportionate case. I believe there were many, people who were trying to get you off that position and trying to threaten you because you were the prosecutor against Jayalalithaa. So do you think that your job was...
No, I don't think I need repeat it here. Whatever I had to say about my experience, I have put it in my autobiography. I don't want to say anything more.
Okay, so thanks.
As someone who's read the book, I can tell you that Mr. Acharya was completely unfazed by any sort of pressure that he faced. And I think it's a testament to his legacy that he could withstand any pressure that was put on him.
Thank you.
I'd like to take your final thoughts, and just in one sentence, if you could just tell me briefly what you think about the whole.
Assuming that the right to privacy is still a fundamental right, I would say we'd have to look at whether this information is truly required in the public domain, and within the framework of the RTI Act, if it was something that cannot be denied to the legislature or a House of Parliament, if an application were to be made, I would think that the information might have to be disclosed.
Mr. Dinesh?
Ideally speaking, yes. I think there is a need to know on an exact state of mind and exact state of health, ideally speaking. But Tamil Nadu and politics in a democracy is strange, and in India we have to look at a lot of other angles and view it from different ways. But at the same time, I think the press has got every right to find out the truth. I think nobody can stop them from finding out the truth. But at the same time, there can't be rumor mongering. You can't allow that also. So I would say that in these circumstances, I think the right to privacy holds more weightage than the right to information. The amount of information which has been given out, I think, is sufficient, and more than that, I think, will violate the right to privacy of the individual.
Mr. Acharya?
As I said in the beginning, the right of privacy claimed by an individual will be slightly different from the right of privacy of a person in public life, particularly holding official position and such an important position as the chief minister of a state. So when the chief minister of a state who is running the entire administration, the people have a right to know when that person is in the hospital for a continuously long time. The public have a right to know whether that person is capable of performing the duties, so that the citizen is satisfied that the governance is being conducted in accordance with law.
So this brings us to the end of our discussion. I would like to thank our panelists for joining us today, and also the people viewing us right now. National School of Journalism, Roshni Jacob.